Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanishalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. In this session, we will be discussing from the 47th verse of the 13th chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Ahastani sahastanam apadani chatushpadam falguni tatra mahatam jivo jivasya jivanam. Very important verse. The meaning of this verse is, those who are devoid of hands are prey for those who have hands. Those devoid of legs are prey for the four-legged. The weak are the subsistence of the strong, and the general rule holds that one living being is food for another living being. So, very important law of material nature that's working universally is explained by Sri Narad Muni to Yudhishthira and to all of us. Jivo jivasya jivanam. The food for our subsistence, according to the law of material nature, is that one living being is food for another. So, there are so many misunderstandings that are possible by simply considering, anyway, one living being is food for another. So, what is wrong in killing animals for food? This is the argument many people give. Those who are meat eaters, they give this argument. But that argument is wrong, as will be pointed out by Prabhupada in the purport. Purports are important because they help us understand in the proper way the particular statement of the scripture. What Narad Muni is telling is definitely true. For our subsistence, we cannot eat dead objects, but we still have to use our good sense what kind of food we are permitted to take in terms of jivo jivasya jivanam. So Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, a systematic law of subsistence in the struggle for existence is there by the supreme will, and there is no escape for anyone by any amount of planning. You try to protect any poor, helpless creature. Ultimately, when death comes, you cannot save the body. This is the law. So, the living beings who have come to this material world against the will of the Supreme Being are under the control of a supreme power called Maya Shakti, the deputed agent of the Lord. You see, deputed agent of the Lord is Maya Shakti. And this Daivi Maya, means divine power, is meant to pinch the conditioned souls by threefold miseries, one of which is explained here in this verse. We are always under the threefold miseries, tapatraya. Which is the one that is mentioned here? The weak are the subsistence of the strong. No one is strong enough to protect himself from the onslaught of a stronger. And by the will of the Lord, there are systematic categories of the weak, the stronger, and the strongest. All around you you can see this. There is nothing to be lamented if a tiger eats a weaker animal. For its food, a tiger will kill another weaker animal and eat its flesh. But although the law states that a human being must subsist on another living being, there is also the law of good sense. For the human being is meant to obey the laws of the scriptures. For the human beings, there is something extra above the fundamental laws of jivo jivasya jivanam. We have to subsist on other living beings, but that doesn't mean that we violate the laws of the scriptures. So we have to live by eating some other living thing, but we also have to follow the laws of scriptures. That is the law of good sense for the human being. The human being is meant for self-realization, and for that purpose he is not to eat anything which is not first offered to the Lord. This is the law of scripture. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Yajna shishta ashinah santaha muchante sarva kilbishai hunjate te tu agham papa ye pachanti atma karanat. Whatever you eat, you have to first offer to Krishna, and only then you are free from reactions. Otherwise you have to suffer severe reactions. And what are those reactions? That reactions are called papa. Sinful reaction. Sinful reaction is severe suffering, which is enforced by material nature. Nobody can go against it. So, Srila Prabhupada explains, the Lord accepts from his devotee all kinds of food preparations made of vegetables, fruits, leaves and grains. Fruits, leaves and milk in different varieties can be offered to the Lord, and after the Lord accepts the foodstuff, the devotee can partake of the prasada, by which all suffering in the struggle for existence will be gradually mitigated. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.26. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. What Krishna accepts has been told in the Gita. This is the law of scripture. You should eat only what is offered to Krishna. Only then you can be free from reactions. And you can progress in bhakti to get out of the clutches of Maya. No more to suffer any material existence. But you have to only offer Krishna varieties of food stuff which is prepared from patram pushpam phalam toyam, in this category, vegetarian, not non-vegetarian. Even those who are accustomed to eat animals can offer food stuff. Now this is something that is explained in the scriptures, people do not know. They can eat animal flesh, not by offering to the Lord directly, not by offering to Krishna. No, Krishna does not accept flesh. But they can offer to an agent of the Lord according to the scriptural direction, under certain conditions of religious rites. So there are specific rules, what they can offer, to whom they can offer, when they can offer, how they have to offer. All this is given in the Shastra. So, injunctions of the scriptures, especially for these meat eaters who want to eat animal flesh, for them the injunctions are not meant to encourage the eating of animal flesh, no, but to restrict them by regulated principles to minimize the harm done to animals. The killing of animals is to be restricted. That's the ultimate aim. And put some sense into these people's head that you should completely avoid animal killing, because you can subsist, and not only subsist, you can relish and lead a healthy life simply by eating vegetarian foodstuff offered to the Lord and partaking prasad. So to put this sense into the head of the foolish people who simply, to satisfy their tongue, they indiscriminately kill animals and eat animal flesh, for them to be saved from severe reactions, very, very sinful, severe reactions. The scriptures are guiding and regulating such animal killing. So further Srila Prabhupada says, the living being is a source of subsistence for other stronger living beings. No one should be very anxious for his subsistence in any circumstances, because there are living beings everywhere and no living being starves for want of food at any place. So if I am placed in a particular situation by the higher arrangement of the Supreme Lord, then I'll be provided by the Lord whatever I require for my subsistence. Now how that is going to happen is mystical. Like how do, Prabhupada explains this very nicely in another place, how do so many millions of living entities subsist in the African jungle? Or for a matter, any jungle, how do they subsist? The Lord arranges. For the elephant, it requires 500 kg of food at a time in one day. And the ant requires a small grain of sugar or some small grain of stuff, particular food stuff. So the Lord provides ant its small grain, and the Lord provides the elephant its 500 kg of food. So the Lord is arranged. So you don't have to be anxious how elephants will survive, how will they get their food, or how an ant will survive. No. Just like in the African jungle, there is no scarcity of food. So therefore, the conclusion is, Maharaj Yudhishthira is advised by Narada not to worry about his uncle's suffering for want of food, for they could live on vegetables available in the jungles as prasada of the Supreme Lord, and thus realize the path of salvation. So Narada is going to tell, your uncles have gone to the forest for the sake of self-realization. And how will they subsist without your providing them their food? The Lord will provide prasada in the form of vegetables, or fruits in the forest. Srila Prabhupada says about Himalayan region, the forest in the Himalayan region, there is plenty of fruits. For spiritualists particularly, plenty of fruits available. And roots are there, berries are there, and vegetation is there, which different seasons, different things are available for subsistence of the devotees, the yogis, the transcendentalists. They don't have to kill any animal, nothing. And the Lord's protection is also there for a spiritualist, for a transcendentalist who's engaged in meditation or spiritual practice in the jungle. Prabhupada explains that also. So that is the higher arrangement. Now, the exploitation of the weaker living being by the stronger is a natural law of existence. That is natural law. A tiger will kill another living being, but only when the tiger is hungry and only as much as it requires. The tiger lives in the jungle, not that it is always killing some other weaker animal. No. Only when it is hungry. And that also only one animal. And that also, that flesh will last for it for several days or weeks. I don't know how much time, but till that flesh is there, the tiger will not kill another animal. So, this is the law of existence. There is no possibility of checking this tendency of a stronger living being devouring a weaker living being for its food by any artificial means under material conditions. It can be checked only by awakening the spiritual sense of the human being by practice of spiritual regulation. Only a human being should not kill another animal or another creature, whether insect or bird or anything. Human being should subsist on food grains and vegetables and fruits and milk. But this sense is possible to be awakened by spiritual practice. So, if a man kills another animal, then how can he expect peace in the society? He will also be killed by the laws of nature. And there are many instances of this explained, which I don't have time to go into. Some other time I'll explain. So, human beings should not kill another animal. They should only subsist on food grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk by offering that to Krishna and partaking prasad. So, this is the conclusion. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.